So
Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I am Kyle King, and you can't see Brian McDonald for whatever reason, but you
it's
can
probably
hear
for
him.
the best.
Yeah, look, I'm not, upset that I can't see. Well, I'm not upset that the people can't see you, but it would help. Look, eventually, one of these days, we're going to get this thing down, and it's going to be working, and it's going to be wonderful. But until then, I don't know. And I just transitioned to something else. What is going on in our hood?
Clearly, the just empty screen here is me making a political statement. I'm not sure what it is yet, but when I figure it out, I will let you know.
Well, we're all going to be waiting with bated breath
The
to
most
find out.
That's bro.
Maybe, hold on, let's try something. Maybe if I call you right back, maybe your video will pop up. You want to try it? Just, why not?
Okay.
All right, I will call you right back. Let's see what happens. Welcome into the Heel Turn Podcast. This is a disaster. All right, I'm going to call BMAC right back, and we're going to see if we can get this working. All right? Because I'm getting really frustrated here. BMAC's laptop has sucked. Let's see if we can get him. I'm calling him back now. You can't obviously see it. BMAC, are you there?
I am here.
I see you. However,
Probably in only audio form, I'm guessing.
only in audio form, my friend. Only in audio form. But again,
It's all right. They've got the eye candy already, so let's just keep rolling.
it's true. That's true. So we're just going to go full screen with me.
Do we have an on-the-phone graphic? You could throw that up for me.
We're not that professional.
No, definitely not.
We are not that professional. Instead, what the people are going to get, you got to give the people what they want in this situation, BMAC.
Clearly, yeah.
All of me.
I think this is a conspiracy theory. I think you're faking these technical issues.
Right.
Just so you can have the full screen of you.
You know me very well that I love technical issues and I love when things don't run smooth. You know
Yes.
this.
Those things and birds. Those are your two favorite things in the world.
Two favorite things in the world. But let's go ahead and jump into it because BMAC's laptop was a piece of crap earlier. So
Yeah,
we're going to
definitely.
burn through some stuff. We're burning.
What is up?
I miss Jim Rome, JRIB. Jim Rome is Burning was one of my favorite shows. But in this episode, of course, we are going to give you the things that we loved from wrestling this week. We're also going to bury a bunch of stuff with our golden shovels. We've got a What's the Word? We're going to play What's the Odds? There's also a Please Don't F This Up. And we're going to kick things off like we do each and every week with a segment where we talk about the news, the rumors, the gossip that surrounds professional wrestling in a segment we like to call Clean or Botch. And BMAC, I lead off with this. Sources have told PW Unlimited that WWE is considering either a second night of SummerSlam or Evolution 2 on August 30th. So, does splitting SummerSlam into two nights like WrestleMania make you more or less interested, Clean or Botch?
I will say clean that it does make me more interested with a big if. And that big if is, do they keep each night at a reasonable length? Because if it's 2 3.5 hour shows like WrestleMania is and we end up with a total of 7 hours, then I'm probably going to be out on that. I mean, I'll still watch part of it. I'll still be interested to a degree, but I don't need 7 hours worth of wrestling for SummerSlam. I wouldn't be interested in that. But if they shorten it to where we get maybe 2 hours each night, and it's a little more digestible in 2 hour blocks instead of 1 4 hour extravaganza, yeah, I think that would make me a little more interested. I just hope they don't use this as a way to give us 7 hours, because I don't think the current storylines merit 7 hours worth of wrestling matches. If there is an Evolution 2, I'd be interested, but without some of the star power, like, Ronda Rousey's not here, Becky Lynch isn't here. Without some of that star power, I don't know how well that would go.
Right. Look, I agree. And by the way, hey,
Hey, look at that.
BMAC is here. He's on the program.
Thank
You
God
made
I
it to the
didn't
show.
take my clothes off.
You made it to the show. First of all, before I get into my answer, Rich says Keith Lee is freaking awesome, and we will get into that because I
Definitely
100% agree. I'm going to say Botch. Actually, I'm not going to say Botch. I'm not going to say clean either. I'm just going to stay in the middle. I do this. Hold on, I do this on occasion. And the reason why is it makes no difference to me if it's 2 nights, 3 nights, 1 night. Like,
because you don't care either way.
I really don't. Like, and look, if you want to go with Evolution 2, that's fine. Go for it. I know that's something some people want. It's not something I want to watch. So I didn't watch the first Evolution pay-per-view. I've never gone back and watched the Evolution pay-per-view.
The ladder match between Becky and Charlotte from that payper-view was freaking amazing.
And look, and I'm sure it is, but I've said time and time again on this program, I'm not a huge fan of women's wrestling. It is just not for me. Just like I love NBA, but I don't watch the WNBA.
Yeah, look, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but to me, that's a little different. That's a little apples and oranges.
And look, and that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, I'm not saying it shouldn't be a thing. Let it be a thing. It just won't be my thing. And that's okay. Like, I think we're in this whole... We have this whole weird thing these days in our society where it's like, but it's progressive. You have to love it. And it's like, okay, like, I appreciate the progressiveness and I applaud the progressiveness and I like it. But it's just not something that's must-see for me. I'm sorry. It just isn't. Maybe when my daughter grows up and she becomes a wrestling fan and she's really big into women's wrestling, I will absolutely 100% watch it. Because I want to watch it with her.
You as a 50-year-old will definitely just all of a sudden up and change your opinion on something. 50-year-olds are notorious for changing long-held beliefs.
True. That is very true.
And now that we're live, I'm going to have some product placement. Coke Zero.
Hey, ho! We're not
getting
paid for that. We're not getting paid for that.
I'm trying to get them to sponsor the show.
Mick says 2 nights of SummerSlam equals Thursday night football.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like that analogy.
A little bit, yeah.
But Mick also says, Kyle, are you serious? The women are the most entertaining. The men are boring to me. And that's fine, Mick. Like, that's okay. That's your preference. All good. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff to enjoy about women's wrestling. Io Shirai is fantastic. Sasha Banks has been absolutely killing it as of late. But again, an entire pay-per-view, look, I don't care right now about Natalya. And on Evolution 2, Natalya's going to get a big spot.
Yeah, and that's where that pay-per-view suffered. I enjoyed the first Evolution pay-per-view overall, and I didn't expect us to be discussing Evolution at this depth today, but I think it suffers from a lack of depth, and that's just a problem with that division in general. I think there's a lot of star talent when they're all healthy and there.
Yeah.
At the top of the roster. And like I said, the Becky-Charlotte ladder match was one of the best matches I saw that entire year. It was a freaking amazing 5-star classic. But when you go further down the card, it really starts to drop off rather quickly. So, yeah, I would be interested in seeing a second Evolution pay-per-view, but they would have to cap that at 2 hours like an old-school in-your-house pay-per-view and just hit the highs and not try to drag it out into 3 or 4 hours.
I will admit, I would be pretty upset if Ronda Rousey made a return and I wasn't watching.
A surprise return?
Correct.
Yeah, I could see that. A little fear of missing out there.
A little bit. Moving on, both Wrestle Talk and Talk Sport have reported that although Randy Orton wanted to work with either Adam Cole, baby, or Tommaso Ciampa at SummerSlam, the lack of top heels means he'll be Drew McIntyre's next challenger. Clean or botch that WWE lacks top heels, B-Mac?
It's clean that they do, but I think this is entirely preventable because they've got guys on their roster. I'll just name 2 right off the bat with Kevin Owens, The Miz, who could and have been really good top-level heels, but for some reason WWE flipped them babyface, and they've been kind of in this purgatory with their character that I don't really understand to this point. I think Rollins is a top heel. He's definitely got heat at this point. He could be a challenger to Drew McIntyre at some point, but I do think the business as a whole suffers from not having a lot of really strong heels, just because we've seen this time and time again. Hell, I know I'm guilty of it. You're probably guilty of it as well. Take case with MJF. He's a great heel, but he's such a great heel that I like him. So, I mean, the only guy that, to me, that consistently gets heat in the way that people want him to get heat, in that he doesn't become so cool as a heel that he then becomes cheered, is Baron Corbin. But you're not going to have Baron Corbin. I mean, he is consistently booed. Like, you know, we can debate why and all the different things around it for, you know, till the end of time. But he consistently gets heat, but there aren't a lot of other people like him. So unfortunately, I think Randy Orton, who is better as a heel than a babyface, does need to be on this list, not only because he's a top-level heel who gets boos, but you also need, with a guy like Drew McIntyre as your champion, you can't have, I know he's about to face Dolph Ziggler, but you can't have a bunch of guys that are 5'11", you know, 201 facing Drew McIntyre, because you don't really believe those guys can beat Drew McIntyre. But if it's Randy Orton, not only with his background and his resume, but with his size and just physical stature, it's someone you could actually see being Drew McIntyre. So it's clean, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. It is unfortunately clean. I hope that they can kind of turn that around, but I don't know. It is clean. I agree with what you just laid out. We now have, this is a reoccurring segment every now and then. Something will go on in the world of wrestling, or they'll tease something, whether it be like a heel turn or a babyface turn, whatever. But when we get these teases and when we get these rumblings, we have a segment that we like to call Please Don't Fuck This Up. And this week's Please Don't Fuck This Up comes from Brian McDonald. B-Mac, take it away.
So one of our listeners just mentioned earlier that Keith Lee is awesome, and 1,000% agree. I was very excited. Unfortunately, it was spoiled for me. I did watch it this morning, the match, but the result was spoiled for me on Twitter before I actually got to watch it. But very excited for Keith Lee, very deserving. One of the guys that I thought was underrated for a long time and is now getting what he deserves. But you have to think, like a 400-day run as NXT champion finally comes to an end this last Wednesday for Adam Cole, and you immediately start to think, okay, Undisputed Era's been there since August of 2017. Adam Cole now drops the titles. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish have had 3 different tag team title runs. They've kind of done all they can do in NXT. So is it now the time where Adam Cole might get called up to the main roster? And, man, please don't fuck this up. If they do call him up to the main roster, I just, it's the same song and dance we've heard before. Will Vince get it? Will Vince understand and use these guys in the same way that Triple H did that worked? And I think Vince will understand a heel faction. So I'm at least hopeful in that. But the idea of debuting him now with no fans in the crowd, I just think you're kind of, I don't know, setting them up for failure. That's what it kind of feels like for me. If you debut Undisputed Era now, it feels like you're setting them up for failure. So I hope Undisputed Era, NXT, now that it's a 2-hour show going head-to-head against Dynamite, needs top stars. I hope they leave Adam Cole and Undisputed Era down in, quote-unquote, down in NXT as some of their top stars.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. And what's up to Pavetex Rob, who's in the chat over on Facebook, says, what's up, homies? Much love, brother. He also started a watch party. Thank you, sir. Noob on Twitch, hello. Welcome in to the show. Look, I'm with you. I don't want Adam Cole brought up just yet, because one of the things that has happened on Dynamite that while it was necessary, it wasn't the best. And what I'm referring to is the debuts of Matt Hardy and Mr. Brody Lee. Now, this was one of those things where, like, it was planned that they were going to debut because they'd been building it up, and then Corona happened. Like, they didn't see it. They didn't see that coming. So they still had to get those guys on TV. And look, their debut suffered a little bit. It
It
did.
did, but I think you're right in that, because those guys, if this was like a launch countdown, they were already at 2 or 1.5. Everyone kind of knew what was coming.
Right.
Hell, Lance Archer, I believe, was in the stands and shown on TV in the last Dynamite that had fans there. So you kind of had to go forward with this. But yeah, your hand's not forced with Adam Cole, and I mean it kind of stinks because I saw one.
Is it though? Because look,
I said your hand isn't forced.
You and I don't.
You think your hand is forced?
Man, look, I know you and I aren't big ratings guys, and we're not ratings guys in terms of we don't give two shits about Brian Alvarez on Thursday posting the numbers for NXT and AEW.
Yeah, that is his gimmick.
We just don't. We don't care. We enjoy both products. Like on Thursdays, one of my favorite things on Thursdays is to go on Twitter and watch the WWE stands fight the AEW stands over wrestling, and I'm just sitting back going, I really enjoy both products, and I'm glad that we have both of them in our lives. You guys continue to be little bitches. Congratulations. But we do focus on ratings when it comes to them being abysmal, and Raw posting horrible ratings, and SmackDown is in trouble. They're already canceled.
Are you now going to say SmackDown's going to be canceled? You're already on the record saying Raw was going to be canceled.
Raw will be canceled within 3 years. I'm still standing by that. SmackDown is losing a lot of its luster. Wrestling is losing a lot of its luster over at Fox. They've already canceled WWE Backstage, which, let's be real, wasn't really a good idea to begin with.
If a tree falls in the forest.
Like, if they wanted to put that on the network, fine. Like, that's okay. But putting it on FS1 was not a great idea. But WWE is not posting good ratings right now. They're just not. And look, you can blame it on Rhoda. That's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's incorrect. But WWE has had this trend of losing ratings, before coronavirus. And that's where I think that they're going to be forced with Adam Cole, because right now, I think you ask me every now and then on the show, is it time to panic? Well, I think WWE behind the scenes is absolutely panicking. And at this point, they're just being like, that guy's popular? Yeah, bring him up. Come on, let's throw him in there.
See, yes, I don't doubt that there are some within WWE's power structure that might believe what you just said, that they need a pop, they need someone new, they need something exciting, and that might cause them to call up Adam Cole. But I'm here to tell you this, as an Adam Cole fan, it won't freaking matter. There's not a single person on AEW's roster, on WWE's roster, that has a huge ratings impact week to week. There's not. There's no star like The Rock. There's no star like Stone Cold. There's John Cena, even to some degree. There's not a star like that in wrestling, and it's part of why I can't believe I think I agreed with Eric Bischoff a couple weeks ago when I said they should take the shows off of TV, but I think he's right in this as well. He was complaining the other day on the podcast 83 Weeks about how they announce all these matches ahead of time, and it's just like, when you have all these matches announced, and a lot of times they're either with the superstar, I use air quotes, superstar, that doesn't move the needle, or it's a match that a lot of, I won't care about, and you're not only sacrificing the surprise element with having something that, wrestling fans can look forward to, not know, and be surprised by, but you're also advertising a match maybe that I don't care about and basically telling me not to tune in. So, look, I love Adam Cole, but he's not going to take Raw from record low ratings back to where it wants to be.
Look, I agree with you. That's not
Adam Cole's fault. That's just an industry-wide issue.
I agree with you on that aspect. I really do. Again, I'm just thinking how Vince and them would think. The other thing that would suck if you brought up Adam Cole right now with, in the Performance Center with no crowds, one of Adam Cole's biggest strengths is his entrance. Who doesn't love going, Adam Cole, baby? Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, no, it would just lose so much. I mean,
it absolutely
you know what sucks about this is, I assume you remember how Adam Cole debuted in NXT.
Yes.
Well, lay it out, and you'll see where I'm going with this.
The way he debuted was he and O'Reilly and Fish jumped Drew McIntyre.
Exactly. Right after he defended the NXT title in Barclays as a part of NXT Brooklyn, 3 or 2, I don't remember which one it was. But we're in a perfect spot right now. Drew McIntyre's on top. SummerSlam's coming up. In a perfect world where Corona hadn't taken away the fans, I would absolutely call for Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly to attack Drew McIntyre after he successfully defended the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. But it can't happen.
I think it's too. I think I'm with you. I think there's no need to bring up Adam Cole right now. Adam Cole is not going to be, Adam Cole, bringing him up is not going to be the fix right now. It'd be like remember the movie This Is the End?
I never saw it, but I've heard, I know of it.
There's a scene where after the end of the world has happened and a helicopter has crashed and one of the blades goes through James Franco's house, they all decide okay, we need to fortify this place. So they're kind of boarding up the door and everything. Well, then there's a scene where where there's a huge crack in the wall, just this huge crack, and Seth Rogen just takes a strip of duct tape and puts it over. That's what bringing Adam Cole up now would be.
It's a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
Correct.
That's what it is. Look, I love Adam Cole. Please do not take this as a knock on Adam Cole. It's just an industry-wide issue. There is not a single star. I mean, you could tell me if you disagree with this, but to me, there's not a single star or they just pop up okay, well, if I wasn't already going to watch, now I'm going to watch because that person's on. There isn't. There's not a singular star like Stone Cold or The Rock. It's just an industry-wide issue. So, one, Adam Cole's not going to fix the problems that exist with the ratings. And two, don't sacrifice your future with him because he could be, I think, a future WWE champion and ruin his debut by debuting him during this time of Corona.
All right, B-Mac, I'm going to make a programming note here. I know we were going to do What's the Word, but I'm going to ditch that segment.
Skip it. Yeah.
We're going to quickly do What's the Odds, so that way we can get into our golden shovels and our things that we love, because that always takes a while. So I want to know, though, WrestleVotes says that WWE is now eyeing the end of September for the return of live audiences. What's the odds of this actually happening?
If we define it as full stands, NBA arenas, 15,000 people, 0%. There is no way it's happening by the end of September. I think that's wildly optimistic. When you look at the numbers of coronavirus and what has happened since the middle of June when all these states started opening back up before the thing was over, it's not going to – look, I'm not a scientist. I won't even pretend to play one on this podcast, but you're going to have to wait a while before this thing gets down to zero to where you could really open up without the threat of it returning. So I don't see that happening by September. What I could see happening is shows in the Performance Center with, I don't know, a couple hundred fans spaced out, screened ahead of time, socially distancing. I think you could see basically what they're doing with the roster. Like AEW started it now, and WWE is doing the same. You could see something like that with fans, but full arena shows, no, it's not going to happen by the end of September.
So, you dropped to 0%. I'm going 100%.
Oh,
and here's
lay it out.
Here's the reason why. Again,
money. The reason's always money.
Well, yes, but I have zero faith in. I don't want to get political. This is not a political show.
Oh, it might become one.
They're doing stuff in Florida. Florida has a dipshit governor. And
I don't know if you know this. Schools and the Home Depot, exact same thing.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, in the governor's mind, being in a Home Depot that's spaced out and you're not right on top of each other is the same exact thing as being in a schoolroom full of 35 kids in one room for 6 hours. It's totally the same thing. In his mind.
I don't know about you, Kyle, but when I go to Home Depot, it's usually 5 days in a row for 8 hours at a time.
Right. Absolutely. That's how I go to Home Depot. Every single time. They're doing stuff in Florida. I can totally see Vince McMahon going to the governor, whom he has a relationship with, because I believe he has thrown some money his way of like,
well,
here you go.
remember they got deemed an essential business. Don't forget that
Correct.
story from a couple months ago. So there's definitely a beneficial relationship there.
Absolutely. So, we're like countrywide, this is going to happen? No, not so much. Like that, I will say 0%. But in states like Florida, in states like Texas, in states like Arizona, the places that, all opened up way too soon and we have these coronavirus spikes, 100%. If they want to do it, they'll let them do it because of rights and freedom.
I love the way you threw in the rights and freedom. Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I could just imagine a Karen running themselves through a plexiglass plate to try to get into the arena to attend the WWE show. I could see. Look, I mean, they have Full Sail. I believe the max capacity of that place is 500, which is still too many people. But I could see something to where, again, let's say it's what movie theaters are talking about, and you can only sit like every third seat. Something to where they're socially distanced apart, they're screened before they come in. It's a small arena to start with. I could see something like that happening, especially since, again, Full Sail is in Florida. But the idea of 16,000, 15,000 people in an NBA arena by the end of September, no way in hell.
I wish I want to start a new gimmick for a wrestler. I don't know which wrestler, but I want to start a new gimmick for somebody where it's just them checking Karens in grocery stores who refuse to wear masks.
I mean, that would be perfect for Stone Cold back in the day.
That's what I was thinking. Like Stone Cold beating up Booker T in the supermarket. Like I would love. Like, you know what? Give that to Natalya. Let Natalya be the supermarket checker. Where as soon as a Karen starts like, I'm not wearing a mask because I don't care about other people's health and safety. And just let Natalya beat the crap out of that person and be like, okay, now I'm throwing you out.
I'd be all for that. I think Natalya could get over with that gimmick.
I would 100% become a Natalya stan.
Yes, 100%.
The supermarket brawler. We just fixed Natalya. Boom.
You're welcome, America.
You're welcome, Natalya.
That too.
All right. Each and every week, moving away from coronavirus and stuff like that, or maybe we won't. I don't know. But each and every week, things just piss BMAC and I off. And we have a segment dedicated for that. It's called the Golden Shovels of the Week. There's no limit to the things that we put in here. It could be from wrestling. It could be from things in our life. And here's the other thing. If you guys have anything you would like to golden shovel, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We will be more than happy to read them. So BMAC, I will give you the floor. What are the things you're burning on this week?
Burning on. What is up? So, and then you just took it off the screen from me, so let me pull it up here on my phone. But
sorry.
No, the live show, folks. The things, 4 things, actually 2 from WWE and 2 from AEW. But the first one, did you see the picture? I know you're not really watching Raw right now, which you're not missing much. But did you see the new pictures of the new United States Championship?
Oh, it's so bad.
I've heard that it's potentially a short-term gimmick, like it's a championship that MVP is putting out there, and that it'll change once there's a title change. But man, it looks so bad.
It's so ugly.
It's so ugly. It's just there's like a rash of titles they put out recently. Obviously, the 24/7 championship as well. Just ugly championship. So yeah, the design of the new United States Championship. Not only does the new one look bad, but honestly, I thought the previous United States Championship, I know, look, it's probably a nothing title that not a lot of people care about, but I thought it looked good. I thought it was one of the better-looking championships, definitely in WWE. So anyway, yeah, I hate the new look on that. Staying with WWE,
Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now for those who have not seen it.
It's the third that one there, yeah, the third one.
Hold on, I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
Put it up? Oh, it's so bad. It look. You know what it looks like? It looks like a fake plastic title that you would buy as a toy. That's what it looks like. It just looks cheap. The design just kind of looks. I don't even know how. Well, you're about to put the picture up here. Looks like we're about to get it in 3, 2, 1, maybe. I don't know, but it just looks.
That's what it looks like.
There we go. Yeah, just leave that up there in place of me for the rest of the show. I think that's. I don't
know.
It just.
Ew.
I wish we had a side by side of the old title, because the old title looked good, but this new one, it just looks like a cheap plastic toy. I think it looks cartoony and just, man, I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm not a fan of this new title. The next thing I wanted to bury, also with WWE, is this is something I texted you. So Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, they're going to have a match coming up at Extreme Rules Horror Show, which, separate thing. Why the hell are they calling Extreme Rules Horror Show? They're not going to be able to do anything that's horrific, but they are teasing that they might with a new gimmick match called Eye for an Eye. And when they first announced that, it was on this last episode of Raw, Rey Mysterio got in the ring and said, I'm going to pick a stipulation. I'm eye for an eye. I'm going to take your eye just like you tried to take mine. I just kind of laughed it off when I watched. It's like, okay, they're gonna do some spot like Moxley and Jericho did. Then maybe they hit each other in the eye and they play it off, whatever. But WWE actually clarified that the stipulation of the match is it will not end until either Rollins or Mysterio removes an eye from the other person. And I'm just, that classic, was it Mark Hoppus? I can't remember which Blink-182 member it is, but the what the fuck, gif that you've seen everywhere. That was what I was thinking. It's like, how, it's bad enough you have all these gimmick matches that you can't live up to the implied violence as it is, whether it be, chair shots or whatever. But now you're going to tell people that the match can't end until someone pulls out an eye? I mean, maybe you have some idea how to book this, but how do you possibly book your way out of this in a way that makes sense, looks cool, and just doesn't leave you thinking what the hell's going on here?
I know exactly how you do this. At one point, Seth Rollins grabs a toolbox. And then he's gone too far, Kyle. And then he smashes it into Rey Mysterio's head, and then he gets disqualified. No one has to lose an eye.
That's basically the way this is going to end. Yeah, I don't. There aren't many things that make me not want to watch or be embarrassed to be a wrestling fan, but the idea of a match can't end until someone pulls out an eye is just the dumbest. It's infuriating, because there's no way they can actually do it. And because there's no way they can actually do it, obviously, there's no way that it can be pulled off in a way that makes sense, looks cool. There's no win in this. There's absolutely no win in this. Anyway, I'll move on. It's just awful. My next two berries, I'll get to them quickly. One, Taz bringing back the FTW title from ECW. I looked up the story on it, but you and I had the same reaction. Like, he debuts the title, and we both go, "Oh, okay, what's that?" We both had to Google what the hell it was. And apparently the story is it's a title he debuted while Shane Douglas couldn't wrestle in ECW, and it was kind of the interim title and then set up a feud of who was the world champion. So I kind of get that. John Moxley can't wrestle right now because of his wife, Renee Young, testing positive for COVID. So Brian Cage is here. He's the world champion because, he's here and Moxley isn't. So I get the kind of the tie-in there, but it was just, I don't know, it fell flat to me. It was like, because it was teased as Taz has like a momentous announcement, a major announcement, and then it's, oh, here's this title that even diehards like you and I had to go Google to find out what the hell it was. It's just like, ugh.
Quickly, Nikki over on Facebook. Nikki on Facebook said, "When hasn't WWE embarrassed their fans for watching wrestling?" I think it's a fair question.
Miracle on 34th Street Brawl.
Trick or Street Fight.
Yeah. July 4th food fights.
All of the food fights. All of them. All right, what's your last one?
The last one is the TNT Open Challenge. The TNT Championship Open Challenge. And it's not the idea of them doing an open challenge. I just think they've done it really poorly in that I think, like kind of what we mentioned earlier with there's no single draw that really moves the needle. I don't think there's value in announcing who will be facing Cody Rhodes each week, because there's no one that they can put in that match that can afford to lose, or because they're not taking the title off of Cody Rhodes right now. So there's not a person they can put in there that can afford to lose who will also move the needle. So to me, there's no value at all in announcing who that participant against Cody Rhodes will be ahead of time. There's no one that's going to make me watch in that match that they can announce right now. So to me, the more intrigue is in the surprise. Like, who's coming out? That's what they always did back in the day when John Cena did the United States Championship run. Is for as many things as WWE gets wrong, I thought they did that United States Open Challenge really well for John Cena. I guess that was back in 2015. I love the pop, the anticipation of who was going to be, and then getting a match that you didn't know you were going to get when you started watching the show.
Yeah. And
they haven't decided to do that with the TNT Open Challenge. So on top of, I think, getting it wrong in the fact that they're announcing someone at all, and just giving, because to me, I don't know, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but to me, one of the best things about wrestling is the surprise element. And they're basically just giving that away. If the idea of anything that can happen needs to be part of every booking idea in wrestling, and they're just giving that away for no apparent reason, and if it was one thing if you're giving that away to announce a huge star, but two of the last three open challengers for the TNT Championship, and this is no disrespect to them, but have been Mark Quinn from Private Party and now Sonny Kiss. I don't care.
So
I don't care.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know if you touched on this. Do you want it to be a surprise?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure if that's what you meant, that you wanted it
Thanks.
to be.
Thanks. Such an ass.
You can thank my wife for that, because the reason I do that, my wife does it to me all the time, because whenever I partake in the riddle vision, I have a tendency to say the same thing over and over again, and my wife will just look at me and she'll be like, "So wait, do you want this? Wait, do you want this to happen, or was this is what happened?" Yeah. So it's my wife. You can blame her. She's the dick. Okay. Spoon really quick says that he wants to golden shovel. Hold on really quick. I just lost it. He said he wants to golden shovel people who are against extending emergency unemployment funds and tell me that I just need to get a job. Eat a dick. Well played.
Okay. All right. Well, that's very specific.
He also asked, I recently discovered the 24/7 championship. What the hell is that? We don't have time. We don't have time, Spoon.
No, we don't have time for that.
Okay.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for it. Things that I'm going to shovel this week is Joey Janela getting in offense against Lance Archer. It was stupid. It shouldn't happen. And this is one of the problems. Are you ready? People have said that I am not critical of AEW, and I have been accused at times of being a mark and a stand for them. So
I think both are true.
But
that doesn't mean that you won't do it now.
I'm absolutely about to do it. I think it's stupid. This is one of the things I dislike about AEW is they never have squash matches unless it's a jobber. Like, unless it's like Pineapple Pete or somebody. Look, squash matches are a legitimate thing, and they do help people get over. Lance Archer should not be selling for Joey Janela.
Absolutely. 100% agree. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but there was that match that Kenny Omega had about a month ago that had everyone up in arms, that Kenny Omega had this back and forth 50-50 match with a guy no one had heard of. I absolutely agree. AEW misses the mark in that degree sometimes.
Like, I don't like that. Look, I understand it's different if you go to an indie show. If you're on an indie show, sure, let them get some offense in because you're showcasing both guys. But when it comes to the national product that you're putting out, there's no reason Joey Janela should be getting an offense against a monster like Lance Archer, a guy who beat the shit out of Sonny Kiss before the match even started. Okay? Like,
yeah.
There's no reason it should happen
agree.
because Joey Janela should not be beating Lance Archer. Lance Archer should not be getting anywhere near a fall to Joey Janela. And look, this is not anti-Joey Janela hate. Like, I'm not one of these guys who hates Joey and this and that.
You don't like Joey Janela. You can admit it.
I don't like him, doesn't mean I hate him.
Okay.
I've watched some of his matches. His car crash matches are awesome. I applaud him for wanting to be taken seriously as a wrestler. But here's the other thing. AEW constantly gives 50-50 booking to these guys, and it leaves no room for Joey Janela to grow. Joey, like, that's something you could use of like, hey, 6 months ago, he was getting stomped by Lance Archer. Well, let's throw him in there now and see how he's progressed.
Yeah.
Can he get some?
Yeah, it takes out some of the storytelling of the... And you know what?
Exactly.
It really comes down to this. And I think this is seemingly, and this is not entirely on AEW, or entirely only with AEW, because WWE suffers from this problem as well with some of their 50-50 booking. But I don't think this question is asked enough when they're writing out what they want to do with the match. Where are we trying to go with this? What is the point we're trying to get across? Who are we trying to push? Mm-hmm. Just answer that one question. What are we trying to accomplish from this match? Who's going over? What's the story you want to tell? And then make the match reflect that. Obviously, the story they should be telling with that match is that Lance Archer is an unstoppable monster. Well, okay, have an unstoppable monster squash a guy that's 5'8", 205. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, they absolutely missed the mark on that.
The next thing I want to bury are 8-man tag match haters. Like, I loved that, and we'll get into that, but man, of course, the Young Bucks had a match with the Lucha Bros where FTR and Butcher and the Blade were in there, but because the Young Bucks were in there and the Lucha Bros, of course, you're going to get the haters. The people who, no matter what happens, they've got to say something shitty about the Bucks match. And it's so tiresome. It's so lame. It's so predictable. Every time the Bucks exist in a wrestling ring, this was stupid and this was bad and they didn't do that. Shut up. And then, like, who was it? One of the Rock and Roll Express on Twitter had even come out and was like, that was an awesome match.
Yeah, I saw. I can't remember which one it was, but I know Dax Harwood responded to him. I saw the reply. I can't remember which one it was.
But then
Ricky
Morton.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So he puts that out on Twitter, and yeah, you get Dax who responds, but then you get the classic haters who are like, he thinks this was good? Oh, he's really fallen off. And it's like, this guy knows more about wrestling than you ever will.
Yeah. No.
Who are you to tell another wrestler, no, you're wrong, this was crap?
You know what I think it is? And look, I'll openly admit that I don't normally like 8-man tag matches. Sometimes it just becomes a spot fest with way too much going on, and the story gets sacrificed just to have spot. But I think this is a case of people predetermining their take. They just go into like, 8-man tags, they suck. And normally I agree with that. But you can't watch that match and say, that was a bad match. That was a good match.
We know somebody notorious who is just going to hate on a Young Bucks match no matter what.
Well, there are people out there like that for sure. Look, I'm not even a Young Bucks fan. I'm not even a Lucha Bros fan most of the time, and I don't normally like 8-man tag matches. I said that really weird. 8-man tag matches. But that match was good. Yeah. So
I'm also going to bury the Texas Heat. I work outside in the heat every day, and the next 5 days are all going to be in the triple digits, so that sucks. I'm also
RIP. I will host the show solo going forward.
Thank you. I'm also going to bury our friend Renfro, who's in our Madden League. He didn't advance.
The worst.
Yeah, he's the worst. He's got horrible uniforms, horrible logo, and he didn't click ready to advance this morning, so he sucks. I'm also going to bury people who complain to managers.
You spent time to take a shot at something that only you and I will care about.
Doesn't matter. Still made it. Brad's watching. Still happened. People who complain to managers that you're doing your and their jobs, those people suck. And, of course, the number one thing I hate this week, birds. You're useless.
Such an old man.
They're useless. All right. Now that we're done burying things, let's go ahead and bring up the things that we loved from wrestling this week, and we'll make it quick because I got to get to work by 10. B-Mac, go.
All right, so I like the AEW tag team title match between Hangman Page
Hangman
and
Page?
Kenny Omega versus Private Party. I wanted to bring this up not only because I enjoyed the match, but Private Party is a tag team that you and I think, have put in our berries quite a few
Time and
times.
time again.
And so, I don't normally like 8-man tag matches. I gave it its credit. I don't normally like Private Party matches, but give them their credit. I thought they had a really good match with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega.
I love the spot that Kenny and Hangman do where Kenny throws the opponent to Hangman
German?
and he German suplexes him.
Yeah,
I love that move.
Assisted toss German. I don't even know what they're calling it. I
It's
guess
awesome.
it's just an assisted toss German. But yeah, no, it was a great match. I think Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, they've kind of abandoned their dysfunction storyline a little bit. At least on Dynamite, you could tell me if they're doing it some on BTE. But I've enjoyed their title run. I do think I'm kind of ready for it to end. I'm not sure. I'd probably like to see it end at the hands of FTR down the line. I don't know if that's the plan or not, but I thought they had a really good match. The next thing I wanted to profess my love for was just the match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. Just a huge mark for both guys. I love. There is a case that you could make that we're getting close to overexposing Orange Cassidy, because I think his is a character that you can't see too often. Otherwise, you lose some of the coolness of, because I pop when he starts off with just the really slow kicks, is the normal Orange Cassidy. All of a sudden, he just turns it up to 100 miles an hour, snap of a finger, and starts doing regular moves, running around full speed, tornado DDTs, dives through the rope, all sorts of stuff. I think we are kind of getting close to overexposing that gimmick, but I really enjoyed the match. The right person won, I thought, because Jericho definitely needed to be the person to go over there. But I thought Orange Cassidy also went over with it. He had damn near a 50-50 match, and it took kind of a surprise finish for him to lose to Jericho. So I thought that match checked all the boxes, and I was really entertained by it. And so my last one, going over to WWE, something I think they did get right, is the idea that Dolph Ziggler is keeping his stipulation a surprise for his match against Drew McIntyre at Extreme Rules Horror Show. I hate, this has kind of been a common theme for me throughout the show, but what stipulation match could Dolph Ziggler have said? Because if you didn't watch, Drew McIntyre kind of got bold and cocky and said, Dolph, you pick any stipulation you want. It doesn't matter. I'll beat you. And so Dolph, being, to me, the smart heel kayfabe, says there's no advantage for me to tell you what it is now. I'm going to hold on to this to the last possible second so you can't prepare. That's kayfabe, but real life for you and I, the fan, answer this, Kyle, if you want to. But what stipulation match could Dolph have said that would actually get you excited and make an appointment television? There isn't one.
Nothing.
Exactly. So, but to me, and I may be only speaking for myself, to me, the intrigue of what it will be, especially since now Dolph is teasing that it's something that we've never seen before, does make me want to watch a little bit more than I did before.
That's
so
fair.
I think it's smart booking both kayfabe in real life to keep the stipulation secret.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair. I like that. I like that as well. The things that I loved this week in wrestling, and God,
I know, man. You've done this like 2 or 3 times in the last month and a half.
I can't believe I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it again. I'm putting Jim Cornette in there. All right, look. As I said, I work out.
Did he recently watch you do something?
Maybe, I don't know. Allegedly. But the reason I'm putting Cornette up here is, as I said earlier, I work out in the Texas heat all day. I help sanitize and push carts at HEB because the department that I actually work in, Cooking Connection.
Because you're an American hero.
Well, I am an American hero. People have said it. Hulk
Hogan,
right, Kurt Angle, Kyle King, Lex Luger.
Yeah, I don't know if you could body slam Yokozuna on an aircraft carrier, but
all I'm saying is you haven't seen me not body slam Yokozuna.
Well, right now it might be easier. He doesn't weigh as much.
You just got run, by the way. You just got run from the Jim Rome show. But I'm putting Cornette on there because, look, while I'm out pushing and sanitizing carts, I am allowed to listen to music. And a lot of times, I'm listening to Jim Cornette's rants on either YouTube or the podcast. And I don't I've said this a million times. I do not agree with everything Jim Cornette has said. He has said some stupid shit back in the day. I don't think that Jim Cornette is a hateful person in terms of like bigotry and sexism and all that. I don't think that. I think he's an asshole.
Some of his takes would disagree with you.
Look, again, I'm not saying the guy's not an asshole. I don't like when he goes after guys like Orange Cassidy. Like, you want to go after the Bucks and Kenny Omega who go right back at you, that's fine. That's fair game. But going after somebody like Orange Cassidy who's never said anything about Cornette is stupid. I don't like that stuff. What I do like is him recapping his experiences in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. I love hearing that stuff. I love listening to his perspective on this is why you do stuff. I have learned so much about wrestling, like in-ring stuff, where like now I'm watching AEW and I'm going like, shit, Cornette has a point about this. I don't like his other takes because I think he's nasty and vile with it, but I love hearing his thought process of this is why you do this stipulation. This is why you do this move in this situation. This is why you have a manager go out and do this to set up this. I love that stuff, and he's a wealth of information, and it's been a lot of fun listening to it while I'm pushing carts, and it's made it a lot more manageable. So I got to put him in there. Thank you, Jim. Number 3, FTR and the Young Bucks in the 8-man tag. I don't want to talk about the 8-man tag overall. I thought it was awesome, but I am loving what they are doing with the Bucks and FTR. I love that they have not thrown one punch at each other. I know Matt Jackson hit Dax with a super kick, but that was in the midst of a match. It wasn't a run-in. It wasn't anything like that. Matt wasn't turning on him. I loved the teamwork that they showed. It was fantastic watching them work together. We've spent so much time going, how great would it be watching FTR and the Young Bucks have a match? How awesome would it be to see that feud? But we're seeing that they have a partnership. We're seeing that while they both have different philosophies on what tag team wrestling is, they both love tag team wrestling and can work together. How cool was it seeing FTR and the Young Bucks do the Brainbuster pile driver?
Yeah, the spike driver. Yeah,
that was so cool.
I don't know if you saw this story. No surprise. Apparently, the revival wanted to do that move in WWE, but Vince put the nix on it. Yeah, I like that they're giving us a slow burn on the story. I think we've talked about this many times. If this same thing, like if Dash and Cash and Dax were still in WWE and the Young Bucks had gone to WWE, they would have rushed to having a match within the first pay-per-view.
Right.
They would be fighting, from debut to pay-per-view match would have been 3 weeks. But I like that they're actually taking their time with the story because we all know they're going to get there. So to me, the smart thing is build it up and get the maximum payoff. So yeah, I'm enjoying that they're not rushing into this.
I also loved that because, like I said, they were working together. I was popping the whole time. I loved it. And then I also thought that the right team won. I'm glad that the Bucks and FTR lost. And here's what I really loved. This is what really set it over the top for me. Was after that super kick that ended up costing them the match, I was like, here we go. We're going to have the blow up. It's so predictable. But they didn't do that. They shook hands and just left the ring. They both had that respect of like, hey, good job. We know, whatever. But they shook hands, buried the hatchet at the end of it. There were still no shots were thrown. It was perfect. They did what I didn't expect. And sometimes getting what we don't expect them to do is going to be what pops you the most.
What I'm hearing is you like a good tease.
Oh God, I love it. I really do. I really do. All right. And then, Fyter Fest Night 2 was fantastic. I thought it was great. From start to finish, I enjoyed it. Everything but the Nyla match. Like, I didn't really care for that. But other than that, it was awesome. And finally, my number one thing I love this week, the Dark Order on BTE. The Dark Order on BTE is absolutely fantastic. And BMAC, I even got you to watch BTE this week. Thoughts on the Dark Order now?
Well, I only watched I guess what was that? Was that Tuesday that I watched it?
Yes.
I don't remember what day it was, but yeah, it was the previous weeks. I haven't watched this week's yet. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Some of it sometimes is, it seems like BT from the things I have watched is usually 15 minutes of content. There really should be 7. They could probably edit themselves down a little bit. But I thought the spots with the Dark Order with Orange Cassidy, and then when they kind of popped in on the end of the bit with Santana and Ortiz, I thought they were pretty funny spots. The only danger, and I think I said this to you in text when you got me to watch it. The only danger is, yes, it was funny. Yes, I was entertained, but they're supposed to be heels, and now you're making them cool. So that, I mean, we just had that kind of conversation earlier with the idea of Randy Orton having to be the opponent.
B-Mac, hands in my pockets, bro. We're going to be in the club. They're going to be like, who are those two cool dudes? They're going to be like, they're probably really good kissers.
It was funny. It was funny. But we just had a conversation earlier about an industry-wide problem with not having enough heels with top heat. And I thought the Dark Order had some heat, and, now you're making them cool. So I'm entertained by it. I'm enjoying it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think it might be a little short-sighted in that you're going to need these guys to have heat.
I now have a challenge for you, B-Mac. Are you ready?
I'm not. No, I don't often do well with challenges.
So I tell you constantly, you gotta watch BTE. It really helps with AEW. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. And the reason why is BTE does a lot of, this is the benefit of BTE. The Bucks will put somebody on BTE, and then they will see if the fans react. And if the fans react, they'll do another bit. And if they keep reacting, my mom just showed up to watch my daughter, which means I really gotta wrap this up.
Yeah,
you gotta watch BTE.
I should have left my house about 10 minutes ago, so let's go.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. So from starting now, I need you to watch the next 8 episodes, okay?
That's a lot, man. Can I commit to 5?
No, 8. You gotta do 2 months of episodes because you gotta learn some of the it takes a while to get into some of the bits. And plus, you're also coming in.
Now you sound like that friend that's trying to get me to watch some underappreciated TV show, but you got to give it 3 seasons to fully get into it. It starts to get good in season 4. I don't got that sort of time.
We're under quarantine, okay? You have no reason. You have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I'm still working 50 hours a week, bro. We're essential workers. Just because we're under quarantine doesn't mean anything for you and I.
20 minutes a week. Do it on your break. But you got to watch it. You have to watch it, and I want to know your thoughts. And look, if after the 8 episodes, it doesn't do anything for you, if after those 8 episodes, you're just like, you know what, this didn't enhance my AEW experience, I don't really care for the show, I'll never tell you to watch it again. I think you're wrong, but I will never be like, oh, you have to watch this. Ever.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
I look forward to lying to you in 8 weeks that I've watched 8 episodes and it didn't enhance anything for me.
Don't you dare, B-Mac. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching the program.
We gotta go to work.
We're getting out of here, B-Mac. Follow him on Twitter, @SackedByBMac. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, @KyleKingOnAir. Follow the show, @TheHeelTurnPod. We will be back next week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we are